Isn't that beautiful how they've landscaped the wetland? And beautiful big leaves on those water lilies. So beautiful. We're so lucky. Hi friends, welcome to my podcast Catching Loops. In this episode, which has taken me quite a while to make, we went out and about this week when it was fine. It's been raining a lot in Sydney, and yeah, we went down to the Rocks, the oldest part in Sydney, had a look around. I hope you liked the footage. Also, we went to the Sydney Park in Newtown in Sydney, an old part of Sydney. My husband and I, think it was the site of Tempe Tip, but it could be wrong. They've made a beautiful wetland landscape there for the birds and frogs, which there's a species of frogs which are very nearly extinct. So they've been catching frogs and breeding them, especially to put back in. Also in this episode, we will have a look at my quilts from the cupboard, from the archives. Quilts that I made for the show between 2014, 2018, red and whites, Jacob Ladders. I hope you like looking at them, and they give you some enthusiasm to start quilting, making quilts. It's so therapeutic. And when this when this virus started 2 years ago, I was so lucky to have a nice little stash of fabrics in my fabric room where the grandkids sleep. Yeah, that was very lucky. I'm so blessed. Also, we'll have a look at my work in progress, my cardigan, nearly finished. I've done back and front, sewn the shoulder seams up, and just have the top of the sleeves to make, and then it'll be finished. I'm making it in my beautiful greens. Every green that I had left, excuse me, every green that I had left, little balls of green in worsted weight. So yeah, from I got them from Scotland, and I love them. They smell so sheepy. From Uredale yarns, beautiful yarns. Thank you so much for making those. Yeah, so let's get into it. Thank you for watching. It's the 22nd of March, Autumn Equinox, 7 a.m. Sydney, Australia. I can hear kookaburras in the background. All the bats are gone home. It's a beautiful autumn morning. This is my whip in progress, my third Rico cardigan. I love it. But as I make each one now, I'm making adjustments. So it's a basic pattern. It's like a vanilla pattern, and I can make differences to it as I go along. And this one I decided to knit and put a steek in. It's so fun. And I'm using up all my greens, my beautiful greens that I've had over the last year. This is my whole cardigan, front and back. It's slipping off the chair. Here we go. Yeah, so that's the front and the back. With this one, I've done some colour work. I decided to put some hearts in. It's the back of it. And so, yes, because I did the colour work, I thought it would be easier to do in the round. So that's what I've done. Instead of knitting it piece by piece, these are the sleeves. Nearly finished the sleeves. It's going to be a stripy. The greens aren't coming out very well today. I don't know why. They look grey. I've got 2 sleeves. So just have to finish the sleeves and sew it up. But I think before I put the sleeves on, I'm going to machine the stick on each side and cut it. I've never cut knitting before, and I've been knitting for a long time, on and off. But yeah, I'm going to cut it first, I think. And then I'll put the button band on and put the sleeves on last. I might even block the sleeves first. But yeah, what a fun cardigan this is going to be. I thought I'd just show how I've done the seams in this one. I've tried the 3 needle bind off and I'm quite happy with it. It looks really flat and neat. And on the other side, the other side is really neat too, and flat. Especially with this worsted wool. It's nice to have a nice flat seam. Really happy with it. I have tried the 3 needle bind off before, but this is the first time I've videoed it. These are my mini quilts from the archives. In the 90s, late 90s, I was making mini quilts. This is the first mini quilt I made. It's an Irish chain with calicos and hand quilted. The little squares are samples that the quilt shop was the Quilting Bee at on the North Shore of Sydney sent out with their newsletter at the time, and you would get like 20 or so of these little tiny samples, and I collected all mine, and I think they make a fab little quilt. This little quilt is about 6-inch square all over. Really love the border and back. I've hand stitched everything on this one. It's shamrocks. Would have been good for St. Patrick's Day. This is the next one. I made these for the exhibition, the Quilters Guild exhibition that had a special section for mini quilts. And this is my second mini quilt, Hexagon, also made from little tiny pieces. So small. This is the template. So compared to the graph paper, I really love it. I love the purple, the flowers on the purple. I think they're beautiful, all hand done. This is the back. This is when we lived at Chester Hill. This is another one with using the little samples. Trip around the world. These little samples were about 1/2-inch squares, from what I remember. So cute. I might have it round the wrong way. Yep. Even back then I was fussy cutting. See the little house? It's all hand quilted too. My hand quilting was a bit smaller back then. Is that one? Getting into the bigger ones. This is Beaver Creek. It was called Beaver Creek in the book, I think. I really love this quilt. And the beaver. I'm sure it's a Janet Climb pattern. I could be wrong. And batiks. Beautiful batik. Lovely calicos that we got back then. Did very good with the polka dot border. It's like a 1/4-inch border. My hand quilting on the border is quite neat. What do you think about this quilt? I love it. I don't hang it up though. Oh, and that's the stencil I had made up for my screen printing. I went to screen printing classes and made up this beautiful logo. Yeah, 1995. Sorry, it's a Margaret Rolfe pattern called Beaver Creek. She was an Australian designer. Lucky I wrote it down. This is another Margaret Rolfe design, Japanese ladies. And at the time, Japanese fabrics in indigo dyeing were a big thing here in Australia, and we had a lot of them. They were very, they weren't cheap fabrics. They were on the expensive end of the line. I bought some little pieces. I wonder what the words say. I hope they're good luck. It's been a beautiful quilt anyway. And I hand quilted with sparkly thread. Whoa. Yeah. And beautiful little clothes on the ladies. Fans, dragonflies, birds. Love this quilt. I love my minis. There's the back again. Indigo Ladies, I called it. 1996. Oh, lovely. I love my quilts. And this is the biggest of the mini quilts. Snowballs. The pattern is a snowball, traditional patterns. I don't buy any patterns for quilting. I love traditional patterns, really. And these are all fabrics from the 90s. Beautiful small print flowers and things. This is what we could get. And look, I hand quilted every snowball. Oh, I love looking at all my quilts. Put the back on, back to front. Upside down. Be right. Oh, I call this one Aquarius Rising in Virgo. So it is one of my really early quilts. And at the time we had to put Velcros for hanging. Yeah. I hope you like looking at my minis from the archives. Hi kitty, gonna join the quilting today? Levine, oh my sweet cat. Looks like you're ready in the middle of everything. Kitty, Levine. This is our out and about segment. Beautiful Australian flowers. There's a natural spring or something under this park, and it's been a lot of rain, so there's a fair bit of water around. I think there might be a dam up there. We're in Waterloo in Sydney. Look at those flowers. Isn't that beautiful? Looks a bit like a rainforest in there. Palm trees. Fig trees, native fig trees. Big spider's web. This plant has got leaves that just has water captured on their leaves, glistening like little diamonds. The old brickworks. Looks like a forest over there. Until there's been a lot of rain. Guy out mowing. Oh, native trees are beautiful. Look at the roots that are holding up this native fig tree. There's a few of them. Near the airport also. This is lovely how they've landscaped this, which probably was the tip once, was it?
No idea.
Could have been Tempe Tip.
No, it's not Tempe.
No, it's not Tempe Tip. We're going to have a look at the wetlands. Great for birds, migrating birds. Great way to use up land that can't be built on. You really don't want to drain it. It's so nice and cool here. Wow, you can see what's happened to the path with the floods. Well, this little lake has flooded. We get black swans here in Australia. Not white swans. The water feature is percolating along. Gravity. We'll have a closer look. The sound of water is really nice. This could be a filtration system also. Reed beds. Bit of algae on the water here. Saving storm water. Yeah, these frogs are endangered. It's great that they're helping them. Native birds. It's called the Bunmurra Wetland. Beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
We're on our way home after that lovely walk around Sydney Park. It was created in 1991, which is 30 years ago. It's 41 hectares, which is 103 acres. I think we must have walked around most of it. We met some very energetic people. Oh, so lovely though. Hope you enjoyed the walk with us. Okay, so these are more quilts from the quilt cupboard. These are my red and whites, and I've got them wrapped in a quilt. These are big quilts. So we will take a bigger look at them. This is the first big red and white. I've hand quilted it and machine pieced it, and it's Japanese ladies in a Jacob's ladder. I love this Japanese print. John's holding the quilt up for me. Aren't they beautiful? It's a big quilt. It's about 70 inches square, which is my favourite size to make. All reds, all different reds. Particularly like red and whites. With this block, they are 12.5-inch blocks, and 2.5-inch squares are my favourite to make a Jacob's ladder. I did have a period of making Jacob's ladder quilts. It was 10 years I made Jacob's ladder quilts. So beautiful. I seem to have 10 years of making designs on my quilts. The first one was the log cabins. My first quilt, although my first quilt I made when I was 19, and it was a hexagon quilt that I found in a magazine. And this is my Jacob's ladder period. It was so fun. I had so many squares cut out. And then I found fabrics that I really like, so I put them into the quilts as pieces. John's helping me. It's another big red and white. Actually, there's not much white in it. A big Jacob's ladder, hand quilted, 70 by 70. It's coming up orange, but it's actually red. Why am I getting orange? They're very deep reds. Maybe you're standing, if you can come around this other way to the light, this way. Yeah, getting the light right. There's a big red and white. Just take a closer look at it. I piece the back. With the backs, I like to have two lengths of just over 2 meters. So that's 4.5 meters I usually get for backing. And I piece them together. This is a Jacob's ladder, as I said before. The stars are, they're not orange. My phone is making everything orange. It's very weird. And beautiful colours.
Too close.
Stop recording. This is another big red and white that I've made. Also Jacob's ladder, but with a different configuration. Hand quilted. I really love the print with the hearts on it. This is a hexagon quilt in the middle of all my red and whites, and it's very complicated. Each hexagon flower is different. Have a closer look. Okay, we'll have a closer look. So after making hexagon flowers with the different center for the flowers, I decided I would make them all the 7 petals around the 6 petals around the edge and the middle one from the same fabric. And I really, really like how they come out. And I went through years of doing this. My cat, Kitty Levine, she's in the middle. Pretty zebras, butterflies. bugs, flowers, butterflies, K-Facet Collective, Philip Jacobs, Big Flowers, Charlie Harper Fabrics, there's one that's different. Oh, Link, I love Zelda. Little turtles. This is one of my favourite fabrics of all time. It's a Philip Jacobs. Stamps. I love collecting stamps. And the girls, the ghastly girls, ghostly girls. Butterflies, forget-me-nots, Australian wattle, beautiful yellows, zebras. I love these Japanese butterflies. And I made a skirt out of that purple pansy. Another Charlie Harper. I wrote my name in it. And I call this quilt Inna after my friend Inna in Germany. She made a beautiful quilt for her couch, and it had all red paving going around the edge of the flowers. This is paving. And I thought, oh, I will name this one in honour of my friend Inna. It's so lovely, and thank you, Inna, for being an inspiration. This beautiful red and white was made with some swaps. I was in swaps, swapping hexagon flowers, 2016, 17, with my friends, probably 15 too, in America and all over the world, really, UK, Europe, and they sent me red flowers also, and I sent them flowers, and it's hand quilted. And in this quilt, I hand quilted a labyrinth. Starts in the middle and goes right out to the edge. We'll talk a bit more about this one. This is a closer look at the flowers, and this quilt I called Field of Flanders, and I named it in honour of my grandfather, who was in the First World War and went to Europe from Australia. And yeah, every flower is quilted, hand quilted. And in red, I quilted the labyrinth that goes all the way from the edge. All the flowers are different. There's 128 different flowers. Even the dark ones are red, even though they look really dark. There's poppies. I had this one in the Quilters Guild show in Sydney. Some of my big quilts are for the quilt show. 2017, I'd finished making it. It took me 800 hours to make this quilt. A lot of sewing, a lot of hand sewing, and I hand quilted it in my lap, how I do all my quilts. And I put the border on first, the binding, and then quilt it. My stitches aren't small quilting stitches, they are what we call big stitch quilting. And I do it in pearl cotton, and this is the back. I love the back too. It sort of has a Spanish vibe going. Yeah, a lot of my friends like this quilt. It's an heirloom. It's another Jacob's ladder, red and white, very similar to my other one with stars in the ladders. hand quilted. Using some of my beautiful reds. We'll talk more about this one. So this is the last in this nice bundle of quilts from the cupboard. This is my label. 2015. It's a good idea to label all your quilts. More 2.5 inch squares. More reds from my quite extensive range of reds. Although red isn't my favourite colour. Black and white is my favourite combination. But I do love red and white quilts. They look so spectacular. That's a lovely fabric. I love that one. I love them all. Scissors. Yeah, as I said before, I collect novelty prints, and so most of these are small prints. All of them are small prints, really, in this quilt. And I love the binding on this too. And I've hand stitched it down. And that's the back. It's a beautiful red and white too. And you know, handmade quilts feel so nice. Something to pass on to the grandchildren. A beautiful quilt that will remind them of their gran. Thanks, doll. Just a little bit more on the quilts, these handmade quilts, the special ones, my red and whites. The pieces that I've made, as it ends up as a 12.5 inch square, the pieces start out as 3 inch squares and they end up at 2.5 because I have a 1/4 inch hem seam allowance on them. I use a little extra info on my Jacob's Ladder Quilts, the red and whites. The blocks are 12.5 inch unfinished, and they finish at 12 inch squares. The squares I cut at 2.5 inches and end up at 2 inch squares in the blocks. I've hand quilted them. That's the size of my stitches. I use 100% cottons in the whole of the quilt making. The batting, I like a thinnish batting, either 100% wool or 100% cotton. I do prefer thin cotton battings, although I don't mind other battings for other quilts. But for my red and whites, I like cotton battings, so that everything is cotton, 100%. The binding is cut at 2.5 inch strips, and then I piece them together and attach them, do mitered corners. If there's anything that you would like to know about making a Jacob's Ladder quilt or the whole quilt process, please put a message in my Instagram page, which is barbara.radzovikas at Gmail. Well, that's my email address. And my Instagram page is at Hexagon Quilts. Very welcome to make comments, ask questions. Always open to answering questions, as this is my passion. Quilts. Okay, that's me signing off for this episode. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Hope you like my footage. If you did, welcome back. Come back. See me next week. Bye.